March Madness is here. The women's bracket has finally been announced, and no surprise, the number one overall seed is South Carolina, the only unbeaten team left, and rightfully so. This team leads the biggest question mark in the entire tourney. Can anyone beat South Carolina? That's what we're going to talk about here on this one today. Do you think anyone, not only just in the Greenville Regional, Steve, but in this entire tournament can beat South Carolina? I'm going to go out and tell you, spoiler alert, I don't think so. I don't think that happens, but let's kind of dig into it and talk why. But before we really dig into looking at this regional, Steve, let me ask you, do you think anyone can beat South Carolina?
The easy answer would be only South Carolina can beat South Carolina. I mean, if they got themselves in such a deep hole in the first quarter, which they do just about every single game, and they have a team like Indiana or a team like Utah that might be able to keep them at bay and not be able to make up that deficit. UConn would be another team now that Fudd is back. But honestly, I just don't see anybody. Certainly, nobody in their region is going to give them a run. There are some teams that can hit threes that I was a little tempted just to be that guy, which I usually am, that guy. But
that's true.
You know what I mean. But I just couldn't in good. I mean, I really almost took South Florida. I love that South Florida team. They just got put in the wrong region, so or even a team like Creighton who can also hit the three. I mean, if South Carolina has a Achilles heel, they don't defend the perimeter as well as they dominate everywhere else. So so I guess you could say, if you're trying to come up with an argument, you could say, well, teams that hit the three like South Florida and Creighton, they could give South Carolina a run for their money. Yeah, they could for 3 quarters, but eventually South Carolina is just going to wear them down. It's the old, I think I've used this before, it's the old comic strip where a boy comes home and goes to his dad. Dad says, well, gee, how'd you do today? And he goes, I was doing great until the older kids got out of class. And that's basically it. South Carolina eventually is just simply too good and too deep. I mean, they have 10 players that are 6 feet or taller. That's unbelievable. I'm not sure a lot of men's team have that. That's really terrific. Camila Cardoso may be as intimidating a presence inside as Boston is. I mean, I really think that she's like that secret weapon that people kind of overlook sometimes. But when you look at the box score and the line score at the end of every game, 9 times out of 10, she's having a terrific game, and you almost didn't notice it because there's so much talent around her.
Yeah, when you look at this region, they start off against Norfolk State, and I'm from the area. I'm from the Norfolk area, and as much as I want to, the best thing I can say is good job being really excited about being announced for that bid during the selection show, because I know deep down you weren't that excited. And then possibly, I mean, let's just call this, if everything happens with chalk throughout the region, then they could face South Florida, as you mentioned, a good 3-point shooting team. However, South Florida against top 25s has only won 2 of their 6 games against top 25 so far this season. If they go on chalk again, you'd see against UCLA, Oklahoma, 4-5 seed. You guys could go either way. I don't see them either matching up very good with South Carolina. The only team that I think that could match up well inside their region is if they meet Maryland in the Elite 8. And I think that is just only because we have seen Maryland look really good at times. I mean, not South Carolina standard. Don't get me wrong. I don't think that they're going to beat South Carolina, but if any team is going to give them any run for their money in the Greenville region, it's going to be Maryland.
Yeah, I mean, they have a lot of firepower. They play good defense. They rebound relatively well. I mean, they're not one of the better rebounding teams in the country, but I mean, they rebound, pretty well. I don't know how they would match up against South Carolina's front line, but Maryland has had some just explosive offensive performances this year. And you have to wonder again, is that a team that if South Carolina gets off to that sluggish start in the first quarter, can they put enough distance that South Carolina can't catch them? I don't think that's the case. But again, we're trying to find ways to have South Carolina lose. I mean, not that we want them to lose, but I mean, we're trying to find ways where how would South Carolina lose? And I go back to what my original statement was. Only South Carolina can beat South Carolina.
100% with you. What do you think? Do you think South Carolina has a chance to win the whole thing, go undefeated? I think that is a very high probability. So let me ask another question. Can any team in this tournament run and beat South Carolina? Do you see it happening? Go through the bracket. Go pick chalk, pick upsets, do whatever you have to do. Is any team on their path to the Final Four and the national championship? Does any team face a chance to beat South Carolina? Let us know in the comment description below. I'm going to give you a spoiler on my side. I have South Carolina winning the whole thing. I don't think that's really a surprise. Right. That's not a hot take. That's where I think they wind up as the national champions yet again. But let us know your thoughts in the comment description below. Hit like and subscribe while you're there. March Madness is here, and we are going to have you covered every step of the way until we crown a winner on the men's and women's side, whether that's South Carolina or someone else. But until then, thank you for watching. /U.